bandau santa santana charuna dukha pradau bhayo beech kuchu varna bichurito eka prana harilei milato eko daruna dukha dei. Tulsidas. I bow down to the holy and I bow down to the unholy because both give me pain. When a holy man departs from me, leaves me, I get pain. And when an unholy person comes me, I get pain. So I salute both. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Today is March 4, 2024 at Laguna Beach, California. In my last session, I talked about the Swamis in the USA. Today I shall talk some of the important Swamis' reminiscences in India. I came in contact with the Swamis from 1950 and met many Swamis who were the disciples of Holy Mother, Swamiji, Brahmananda, Shivananda, Saradananda, Akhandananda, Vigyanananda. As I mentioned previously, we have not seen Sri Ramakrishna with physical eyes or his disciples. But we met many of them who were the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. First, I shall start with Swami Shankarananda, who was my guru. He was a private secretary of Swami Brahmananda. He met Swamiji and a nephew of Swami Chetanananda, Swamiji's first disciple. He was a great monk. I shall tell only few incidents of these important Swamis, not all. I remember it was in 1961 when I was initiated on Good Friday. I think it's 31st March 1961. After initiation, we asked him, Maharaj, give us some instructions, some advice. His voice was just like a roaring lion. Only advice, only advice. People do not practice, only asks advice. Read the Gospel of Ramakrishna every day. Ramakrishna answers all questions, removes all doubts. If Ramakrishna's answers do not satisfy you, my answers will not satisfy you either. He was a great Swami. I remember he told one of my friends, would not go to the temple. He was a non-dualist. I am the Atman. So I not to go and bow down to the deities. And that Swami was Maharaj Swami Shankarananda's attendant. One day Swami Shankarananda asked him, do you go to shrine? Do you meditate? No, Maharaj. I am the Atman. From tomorrow, you sit in my room and meditate. Morning and evening. Then Swami said, good habits, if you leave, they will leave one after another. But if you hold on the good habits, they will help you to build your character, which is extremely important to cultivate some good habits in a spiritual life. That's a great instruction. Then I met Swami Vishuddhanandaji, mother's disciple. I did not get any chance to talk to him. He was surrounded by devotees. Every afternoon, people would come and just sat in front of him. And he would create such a wonderful atmosphere. He only talked about Thakur, Maha Swamiji and the scriptures. I gave a series of talk based on his two books, Sat Prasanga, Garlands, Gems from the Garden of Saints. I gave several lectures. He was a disciple of the mother. Somebody asked him that who is great, Holy Mother or Sri Ramakrishna? He smiled and said, I do not know, but even people know that Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Holy Mother, so now you decide that who is great. Then Swami Yatisharanandaji. You know, sometimes we see these Swamis, how they take the words of their guru and practice. It was in Banaras, 1921. He was complaining about spiritual life. Maharaj asked him, Swami Brahmananda, you practice japa at midnight, Mahanisha jap kar. At midnight, you repeat mantra. You will get the result. That he continued. I remember we were in training center. I lived in the same building with him. He was downstairs, I was upstairs. But till midnight you will see the light in his room. He was following his guru's advice. Amazing, these people. I remember once I cooked for him in 1963. It was Swamiji's centenary time. There was a big conference in the Park Circus and he was presiding. And I remember I made vegetable soup for him. Great Swami. Then about Swami Madhavananda. He was a legendary monk, a disciple of Holy Mother. He came to America in 1928, I think, 27, 28. But 2-3 years, then he returned. Then he became Assistant Secretary, General Secretary, Vice President, President. I wrote his Reminiscences. He demonstrated that work is worship. One day a monk was watching him in his room. He was watching outside in Belur Math, in front of Sri Ramakrishna's temple upstairs. That was the mission office. He was watching. So the monk was standing behind him nearly 15-20 minutes. Then we turned back and said, "Oh, you were here?" Yes. Then this monk curiously asked him, "Maharaj, could you tell me what are you seeing? What are you looking so intently?" But I was watching the leaf of that coconut tree. The wind of the Ganges was blowing and that leaf was going that direction. What direction wind goes, the leaf goes to that direction. So I was thinking, if I could be like a leaf, that I shall move according to God's will. God will guide me. That I was practicing. Meditation, Pandit is a great scholar, a lot of very spiritual person. I remember in 1963, I did not come to the training center because of Swamiji's centenary. I was delayed for 1 year. So I told him, "Maharaj, I cannot come to the training center." Then he said, "That's good. I'll have to work for Swamiji." Swami Gombiranandaji was the president. He asked me, "You wait for another year." Gombirananda said the right thing. You were thinking that if you get the vows 1 year late, you will be junior. Do you know who is senior, who is junior? The person who is close to Sri Ramakrishna, he is senior. The person who is away from Sri Ramakrishna is junior. It doesn't mean that how many years you were in the monastery. I got a great lesson. Swami Bireshwaranandaji, he was my Brahmacharya and Sannyas Guru. I remember after initiation, I asked him, "Maharaj, tell me something about your spiritual life." He said, "Read 2 books, Dharmaposam Swami Brahmananda and Turiyananda Patra. Then you will not have to ask any questions to anybody about the spiritual life." Those 2 books I translated. A Guide to Spiritual Life and Spiritual Treasures. Those 2 books are Swami Brahmananda's instruction and Swami Turiyananda's inspiring words. They are marvelous, very helpful. I remember one day I got some scolding. He asked a question. I answered vaguely. It seems to me, I think so, like the vague words I used. He scolded me right and left. "Listen, either you say yes or no. Based on your words, I am going to make a decision. If your words are wrong, my decision will be wrong. Either say yes or no." I got a great lesson. I met Swami Gombirananda in 1958. I stayed with him for 6-7 years. He told that he was rejected when in 1923 he came to monastery. He came from Burma. No, we shall not accept you. But he wanted to join the monastery. Then one monk took him to Devghar. "Oh, we need a headmaster, so we a school teacher." So he went there as a school teacher, then joined there, became the headmaster. then he became the secretary, then he became a trustee, then assistant secretary, general secretary, vice president, president. He used to say, I am a rejected monk of the Ramakrishna Order. Great Swami, great, great. I really indebted to him. I am really indebted to him because his life is an example, a role model. His routine, he is so punctual about everything. Seeing his walk or eating, you can adjust your watch. I remember one day I went to his room and I found he put a water bag on his stomach. He was in pain and working. He was translating Haripada Mitra's Bengali Reminiscences into English for Reminiscences of Vivekananda book. So I went to his room and said, Maharaj, you should take some rest. You were in pain. He said, if I lie down to bed, do you think my pain will go away? Can you give any guarantee? I go, no guarantee, Maharaj. But you are in pain, you should take rest. Then he said, when I work for Swamiji, I forget my body idea. You know, these monks are really remarkable. Their sacrifice made this Ramakrishna Order great. He used to give classes every morning after breakfast, half an hour. We read from him Brahma Sutra, Shankara's commentary, Gita, Shankara's commentary, Chandogya, Shankara's commentary. Many books, scriptures he taught us. And he himself translated the Brahma Sutra, Shankara's commentary into English, which is a very, very, very difficult job. I watched nearly 5 years he spent for translating that book. He came to America, most probably you met him in 1972. He came to Boston for surgery on his detached retina. He came in Hollywood. He stayed next to my room in the monastery. But when I was coming to this country, he was then General Secretary. Then after arriving, I wrote to him, Maharaj, I had a problem in Paris. I could not meet Vidyatmananda. Then I was in deep trouble. Then I had to go to the embassies, the ambassador's house, and he helped. Then he said, do you know the philosophy of our life? I told him that you tied me with hands and feet and threw me into the Pacific Ocean. If I want to survive, I'll have to swim. Then he wrote me back, you do not understand the philosophy of our life. You will be tied with hands and feet and you will be beaten up. And you will have to cry. And you will have to tell Sri Ramakrishna, Master, you are very compassionate. You will be beaten up and you will cry and pray, Master, you are very compassionate. That is the philosophy of our life. He wrote very wonderful sadhu. I have many reminiscences about him. Many. I wrote along. I remember in 1964 he was going back from Advaita Ashram President, he was going to Belur as an assistant secretary. So I was then a kitchen in charge. nearly 200, 250 monks will eat. And I will have to arrange. So I was running around buying groceries, meat, fish, and all this. Nearly 14 items cooking. Of course, we hired cook. So seeing me running around, he was telling me, "Hello, young man, why are you working so hard to throw me out from this place?" Another time I remember, I went to Belur Math. It was Swamiji's birthday. So Swami Abhayananda and Gambhirananda were standing in front of Brahmananda's temple. So I came in the afternoon to attend the meeting. So Abhayananda is the senior. So I first bowed down to Swami Abhayananda. It was on the lawn. And then he was standing and it was this west side from the setting sun. So I did not want to walk over his shadow. So I just encircled and then came back in this way. And then I bowed down to Swami Gambhiranandaji. Then Swami Abhayanandaji was telling me, Acha? Acha? You learned the Vaishnavi tradition. The Vaishnavas are like this, very fastidious. You cannot walk over the shadow, you see. So I just said, thanks, Maharaj. You people are so highly honored and respected, and it is hard for me to walk over your shadow. Then Gambhiranandaji made a remark, are we so untouchable that you do not even touch our shadow? You see, in those who are very orthodox Brahmin, if you are Shudra, if you walk over the shadow, they will be mad at you. Very powerful. So, but you are untouchable. I shall not walk over your shadow. Then it is very funny. Then he made another. He used to tell some stories, that there's a long story. What happened? Uncle Maharaj, your rules and regulations are only for the good monks like us. There are some people that do not obey the rules. Then he said that in the monastic order, there should be some rules and regulations as a guidance. But Swamiji told us that you will have to go beyond the rules. But until you are illumined, you will have to obey the rules. Then he made a remark. He told a story. It was raining. A man from Afghanistan, we call it Kabliwala. They sell dry fruits on the street. And they seldom they do take any bath. So the raining, so he puts his two shoes on the image of Shiva and sleeping. And in the meantime, a Brahmin also entered the temple. Accidentally, his foot touched the Shiva lingam. And Shiva became mad with a trident, attacked him. Then the Brahmin said, Lord, I don't understand. My feet touched you, but I bowed down and I apologized. But this Kabliwala is Muslim, He put his feet on your head and sleeping, and you are not taking any action against him. Then Shiva said, because he does not believe in me, so I cannot take any action against him. But you believe in me, so I must take action against him. Funny story he told me. But some people who speak, lecture, they exaggerate, they embellish. So one person was lecturing, he was embellishing and exaggerating. So his friend says, you see something which is unbelievable, people cannot believe it. Oh, if I go too much, you must push me. So he was telling, once we went for a hunting and we killed a tiger which is 18 feet tall that they pushed. Well, not 18, which is not a measurement, 15 feet, then again push. 12 feet, again push. 8 feet, again push. Then when he came to 5, 6 feet, again his friends push. Then he became mad. Do you think the tiger did not have any tail? The tiger did not have any tail. He was making joke that how some people speak. Then he says, this world is a dog's curly tail. First aphorism, the world is a dog's curly tail. Second, we are going to straighten it out. Third, we shall definitely fail. Fourth, while trying to straighten it out, we will be straightened. That is a wonderful story. Love and freedom for the conditions of growth. He told us. Swamiji's words. Great Swami. Swami Bhuteshananda, next president, he was also a great Swami. I am also very grateful to him. I learned so many things from him. He was my Supreme Court. If I have any questions, very learned. If I have any questions, I asked him and he answered. Many of my reminiscences have been published in a book form. I met him in 1960, June, I still remember. Bhuteshananda ji, he's really remarkable. Sthita prajna. When his mind is so steady, conviction. I remember in 1970, we are in Benares. I was asking Maharaj, will you give me 4 paisa? I want to buy some peanut. Then he says, I can give you 4 paisa on condition you will have to return. I said, Maharaj, then I do not want your money. He was testing me, Then he says, do you know the story? His Vaikuntha, very frugal. Do you know my story? Once 2 monks wanted to eat some betel roll. So asked money, so I gave 10 rupees, a bill. They went to the shopkeeper. He says, oh, I do not have change. So another monk says, oh, whose money is that? Swami Bhuteshananda ji, return his money. His money does not want to break. He was making a joke out of himself. He came to St. Louis in 1988, our Golden Jubilee. So what happened? I said, Maharaj, I want to show you something you have never seen in your life. What will you show me? I have seen so many things in my life. I go, no. I shall show you the greatest show on the earth. Greatest show on the earth? Yes. All right. So I asked our secretary, Mary Butler, that, buy the ticket for Ringling Brothers and Burnham Bailey Circus. And they advertised the greatest show on the earth. So we went to the arena and we bought the ticket so that you can see 3-ring circus. So Maharaj sat there, a little 4, 5 in the gallery, in the middle portion. After half time, he was telling me, let us go back to the center. I go, Maharaj, we spent so much money to buy the ticket and you want to see only half? The other half will, no, let us go back. But he did not like, perhaps, some, it is my guess, that the Trappists, some girls with short dress, the swing and all those things, he did not like the show. Then one day I was telling Maharaj, I was making some switch card for him. So I boiled the milk and put sugar and put some Dunkin, that some kind of yogurt you buy. Dunkin, not what is called? Yogurt. Dannon. That yogurt I put, but my milk did not settle. Then I put into the oven. That also did not much, only little. Then I said, Maharaj, I am very sad. What happened? I wanted to give you some switch card which you like, but my card has become geography. It has become geography? Uncle, yes. In this world, 2/3 water and 1/3 ground on earth. 2/3 ocean, this whole world, and 1/3 is the land. So I told my yogurt has become geography. 2/3 liquid and 1/3 solid. Then he was telling me, all right, you give a little from that 1/3. So he has, it is very tasty. I said, it's bound to be tasty, Maharaj. I boiled the milk and then I put sugar and it. But next day we made some nice card for him. He was also very humorous. One thing he mentioned, that whether you are making progress in spiritual life, how do you know? He quoted from the Bhagavatam. Tushti pushti kshutpayonughasham. Tushti, pushti, kshutpayonughasham. Listen how it goes. You are hungry for 3 days fasting, no food. I brought a big plate of food and a glass of water in front of you. Just seeing the food, you got some satisfaction that I am going to eat. I am very hungry. Then the moment you eat it, you get pushti, nourishment, strength, when the food goes into the stomach. Second stage. Third stage, your hunger pain, spasm in your stomach will go away the moment food goes there. Watch these 3 things. In the spiritual life, whether you are making progress or not, the first stage comes satisfaction. And the second stage comes strength, conviction. And the third stage comes cessation of misery, suffering. He explained very beautifully that how, whether you are. One day I asked Maharaj, how should I know that you know? Of course, sometimes I knew something, but I want to verify through him. Then he said, whether your spiritual experience is true or false, how can we ascertain? He said, in our scripture, there are 2 words, Shasangvedda, Parasangvedda. Shasangvedda means only you know that whether you have real experience or not. Seeing your face, I cannot say that your stomach is full or empty. I cannot, seeing your face, I cannot tell you. But only you know that your stomach is full. You will not eat anymore. You know. Our Parasang, this is called Shasang Vidya. Our Parasang Vidya means other people know. How do the other people know that you have real experience? There are some signs. You read the last part of the second chapter of the Gita, the signs of an illumined soul. Sthita Prajna. Last part of the 12th chapter of the Gita, the signs of a true devotee. The last part of the 14th chapter of the Gita, the signs of a person who transcended the three gunas. Those signs, even Viveka Chudamani, Jivan Mukta is the Lakshanam, this is a sign of the Jivan Mukta. Those things are there. So, these are the signs we shall put on you and check that whether really you are illumined or not. There are some people, false claim, oh, I am an illumined. These are the things we used to discuss, you know. Wonderful sadhu, wonderful sadhu.
Swami, it seems that sometimes there's a reluctance to identify, within the order, there's a reluctance to identify what state certain swamis attained.
It is true. Somebody asked Swami Madhavananda, Maharaj, have you seen God? Do you know what he answered? I am not Ramakrishna, you are not Vivekananda. Go!
That's great.
I am not Ramakrishna, you are not Vivekananda. You have come to us. He was an illumined soul. The Ramakrishna monks will not beat the drum on the street and say, I am illumined. You do not do all those things. Wonderful sadhus. Then Swami Nirvanananda, he actually was a close friend of Swami Prabhavananda. It's a Nirvanananda who sent me to this country. I still remember I came from Mayavati. He called me and said, you know, Swami Bandhanananda has come back. We are supposed to send a substitute. So I proposed your name. Please don't say no. I said, Maharaj, I never lectured in English. Don't worry, Prabhavananda will teach you. So he came. So what happened during our training center in 64, 65, after Arati, we used to go for meditation, the Vesper service. And then, gong, when the food bell will go, that means the food is going to the temple. Dong dong, then means food will come down from the temple. So half an hour, we used to go to some senior swamis and hear from them about the Jari disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. So Swami Nirvanananda-ji, we used to go to his room and he used to tell us stories of Maharaj, Mother and Jari disciples and our tradition. One story he told me that I shall never forget. He went to Swami Turiyananda and asked, Maharaj, we left our family, parents, home, everything came to the monastery, but we have not seen God. Swami Turiyananda said, listen, you have come under the Kalpataru tree. The fruits are hanging. If you stay under this tree, you will get a fruit one day. That is God realization. But if you want the fruit right now, shake the tree, shake the tree, shake the tree. That means purushakar. You will have to make self-effort. That was very important to me, too. That incident is really, really is great. Swami Omkarananda ji, he was a vice president, another disciple, great Pandit, great scholar, and very strong. I remember after my training center, I went to him and bowed down. Maharaj, my training is over, so I came to bow down to you. What? Training is over? Did anybody beat you with shoes? I go, no, Maharaj. Then you are not trained. Your ego is not shattered yet. I shall never forget. Before coming to this country, I went to bow down to him in 1971. He died in 1973. So I bowed down to him. Nearly 2 hours he talked to me. Uncle Maharaj, your disciples are waiting to bow down to you. Hurry, sit down, sit down. Do you know what will they say? Maharaj, dhyan japto kori, matha baddo ghurai. They will tell me, Maharaj, but he is the guru. We practice japa and meditation, but we get dizzy. That they will tell me. He was so funny. Then I met Swami Chetanananda, Baroda Maharaj, mother's disciple. He was an attendant of Holy Mother for 11 years. One day I asked him, Maharaj, in my home I have mother, I have sisters, aunts, so many women in our family. What is the difference between these women and Holy Mother? Then he said, have you seen anybody in your life that who has no desire? Completely desireless. That we saw in the mother. You see, all human beings have desire. God has no desire. Desire comes from ignorance. See, according to Vedanta, avidya, kam, karma, ignorance, desire, action. All these billions of people you see around, they are rotating in these three places. God is not involved with anything. Mother was completely desireless. Shh. Same question I asked Swami Sharadeshananda. Ishanananda, when I was coming to this country, he also died in 1973, I think, in Banaras. He gave some relics of Mother, Holy Mother's hair, a little cloth which they used to wipe out her feet after rubbing oil, a napkin. She rubbed it, and a piece of cloth he gave me. Many, say, little nail or some, many mother's things he gave to me. Anyhow, I asked Swami Sharadeshananda ji. She is also mother's disciple in Vrindavan in 1977. When the first time I went from Hollywood. I said, Maharaj, what speciality you saw in the mother? Nirabhiman, egoless, no ego. All human beings have ego, but God, the Divine Mother, have no ego. Ego also comes from ignorance. No ego. Then I asked Maharaj, did you see Mother in Samadhi? I saw her perform the puja. After puja, he used to merge into Samadhi. Then I met Swami Bodhaatmananda. He was the principal of our training center. He was a very good sadhu and great scholar. He was the principal, learned, very learned. Bodhaatmananda ji told me, I wrote in my Reminiscences, Stories of the Vedanta Monks, Volume 1, you will find my Reminiscences. I asked, how can we hold Sri Ramakrishna? Thakur ke dharo, hold on Thakur, hold on Thakur. How can you hold? You know, same. Then he said, you will have to establish relationship with him. How? Then he said, you see, I went to aim. Aim told me, ওই তোর বর, ওই তোর ঘর. That man is your husband and that man's house is your house. Aim told this story. In India, when a girl is married, it is arranged marriage, not love marriage. The parents will arrange the marriage. So, what happens, that is the first time you are seeing your husband. You never met him, you do not know anything about him. So what happens, you are 18 years old and while going to this strange man whom you do not know, you are crying. Because 18 years you lived with your parents. Holding your mother, you are crying, no, no, I shall not go, I shall live with you. Then your mother will console you, ওই তোর বর, ওই তোর ঘর. That man is your husband and his house is your real house. Same thing, father will console the mother. He does not want to go. Because 18 years you are connected with your parents. And now we are going to cut. Not so easy. So the girl, anyhow, she had to go to her husband. After going to the husband, she has a couple of children. Suppose your mother is sick, your father wrote a letter, please come and see your mother. And you write a long letter that I can come to Christmas time. Who will cook for your son-in-law? Who is my children? They are going to school, this and that. She gives all excuses that I am not coming. Previously you did not want to go, and now you do not want to come back. Why? You establish relationship with your husband. Then he said, if you can establish a relationship with Thakur, you will never come back to this world. I shall never forget when I joined, he told me. Another day, in Belur Math, when I was in training center, each brahmachari has a plot of land and you grow flowers. So I got some marigold plants, very good, from Shillong, big marigold. So I planted, I think 24 plants I planted and gave water and fertilizer. My goodness. Do you know what happened? Next morning, some chipmunks and some hare, they ate all that soft twigs of the marigold plants, cleared it. So next day I was so sad. I was standing and I worked so hard to put these plants and now it is all gone. So Maharaj was going for a walk and said, Maharaj, I am very sad. What happened? Then I told. Then he told me, you are barking like a dog. What do you mean? There was a room, all sides are mirrors. A dog entered there and saw the reflection of the dog, go, 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 go. He was thinking that's another dog. So he was barking against them. In the Vedanta class he says that all are Brahman. The chipmunk and the hare and the bunnies, they are all Brahman. Maharaj, that Vedanta is very difficult. That Vedanta is very difficult. I still remember. But I learned a lot of things from him. I remember in our convocation address, he made a remark, Vidya Chatushpad, learning has 4 quarters. 1/4 comes from the student. 1/4 comes from the co-students. They discuss each other. 1/4 comes in the course of time. And 1/4 comes from the teacher. 1/4 from the teacher, 1/4 from the student, 1/4 from the co-student, and the 1/4 comes in the course of time. It takes time. That is a great lesson. You might have a wonderful teacher, but you are not contributing anything. It will not work. Beautiful. He taught me many things. I met a Swami in Benares. You were talking about Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Every day, there are 42 verses are there in that hymn. Every day he used to write one verse. And holding that verse, he used to go to the Ganges. It takes 15 minutes from our ashrama to the Ganges. He used to read and memorize. So in 42 days, he memorized 42 verses. And how the monks maintain their spiritual mood through studying the scriptures, through memorizing this Upanishad, through memorizing these things, through repeating mantra. They maintain the spiritual level. Very important. As I told some puja, you must do some ritual, part, reading, japa, meditation. If you do all 4, your spiritual life will not be monotonous. Swami Mitrananda, another monk in mission office, He told me a story when I first joined. You know, work wholeheartedly for the Master. Don't worry about old age and sickness and this and that. Just give your life to Sri Ramakrishna. Then he told the story of Tolstoy. A Russian farmer has two dogs, two bulls. So one bull was pulling the plow and another bull was lazy, doesn't want to pull the plow. So the farmer sold that lazy bull to the butcher. Bas, finished. And the good one, the good bull, served the master all through his life. Then when he became old, the master did not sell that bull to the butcher. But let him stay in my farm. He gave so much service to me. I shall take care of this old bull. So if you really work for Sri Ramakrishna wholeheartedly, he will look after you. Do not worry about old age and this and that. That I was telling the training center last time. Brothers, I have a philosophy in my life. If you work, you will die. And if you do not work, you will die. Better work for Sri Ramakrishna. He is not ungrateful. That Tolstoy's story, I shall never forget. He told me in, most probably in 1959 or 1960. Nearly 63 years ago. 64. Then in Banaras I met various Swamis. One Swami I met, Buddha Maharaj, Pastor Brahmananda's disciple. Maharaj, when you were initiated, what kind of instruction Maharaj gave to you? Well, his face was radiated. He said, do you know what? Maharaj told me, Shatta Brahmacharya. Shatta Brahmacharya. Practice truthfulness and Brahmacharya, celibacy. You will not have to practice too many spiritual disciplines. Bas. Then another Swami I met, Swami Prakashananda. He was a Tapasya Suryan Maharaj, very austere sadhu. It was in 1977, I used to interview all these old Swamis in Banaras with my tape recorder. So I asked him, Maharaj, tell me something. You lived with Turiyananda. But you see, one day I went with Turiyananda to walk in Hardwar, in Brahmakund, from Kankhala Ashrama. And by the side of the road, there is a confectioner who is making jalebi. So seeing the jalebi, Maharaj shouted, Hey Shuren, our goal is jalebi, our goal is jalebi, our goal is jalebi. Well, why Maharaj? Well, ghee bheje chini rase phelo. Fry in ghee and soak into syrup. That means Gyanamishra Bhakti. You have the knowledge and soak into devotion. Knowledge and devotion, both should be in your life. Then spiritual life will be very, very comfortable, balanced. I remember Swami Bodhatmanandaji teased me one day. There are three types of monks. Some are fried with oil, some are fried with ghee, and some are fried with ghee and soaked into syrup. So in three groups, which group do you want to go? When the oil means ordinary monks, you know, and ghee bhaja means very learned monk. And ghee bhaja, love and devotion, both, devotion and learning, both are there. So that he said. Very interesting. Then I met Swami Dhireshananda. His letters, his reminiscences are precious to me. He gave me his, I think, 16 diaries. Oh, they are so precious, precious. They live, oh, sorry. It will come in the volume 2, the stories of the Vedanta monks. I wrote my reminiscences in volume 1, but his reminiscences will come in the volume 2. Without his diary, I could not work for this book anyhow. You will get it. One day I asked him, Maharaj, could you teach me non-dualistic meditation? তখন আমি বলছি, তুমি সন্ধি দেখতে জানো? Do you know junction? What is junction? She has a necklace, pearl necklace, one, next. But all these necklaces are tied with a string or a thread. So if you minutely watch, you will see there is something which is holding all these pearls. So watch that thread. And that you cannot see, if you do not watch carefully, you cannot see the thread, because all the pearls are one after another, one after another. So that you minutely watch it on the pearls, in the thread. Then he said, then you will understand each pearl is a thought wave. All these thoughts are connected with that consciousness. Without that consciousness, it is just like your EKG. Heartbeat was coming, but it is continuous. So the thought waves are coming, but it is all connected. What he meant that every vritti, thought waves, if you say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, then you will be illumined. All the time that Aham Brahmasmi, you will be, now we are verbally, mentally you are repeating, then spiritually you will be connected. Even though if you do not live with these monks, it is hard to understand. It is called Pratibodha Viditam. In every thought wave you will understand the truth. But I think I told. Dhireshananda, I am very grateful to him, because he used to say there are 4 kinds of grace. Guru Kripa, Ishwar Kripa, Shastra Kripa, Atma Kripa. Grace comes from Ishwar, God. It is God's grace that we are alive. Who created the air? Who created the water? The president or the king, they do not create water or air. It is God's grace that we can breathe, we can drink. That is Guru's Kripa. That is Ishwar Kripa. And then Guru Kripa, grace of the Guru. We are roaming in darkness. It is the Guru who shows the way, the path. The Shastra Kripa, the grace of the Scripture. The Scripture is sometimes just like our mother, guides us. And then Atma Kripa, self-grace. The grace, if you have no willingness, if you do not contribute yourself, you will not achieve anything. These are the 4 kinds of grace. He used to tell all these things. Human intellect also, 4 kinds of intellect. Stone intellect, rubber intellect, leather intellect and oil intellect. What does it mean? If you try to nail on a stone, it will not go. Your nail will break. Rubber, if you hit it, it will go inside and then it will come back. It will push back. Charma intellect, leather intellect, you hit it, it will go and it will stick there. But oil intellect is just like a drop of oil in a bucket of water. The moment you put a drop of oil, it spreads. It spreads everywhere. That means there are some people, their power of comprehension, tremendous. They absorb very quickly. All these Vedantic stories, incisions, episodes, how to experience, we used to learn from the senior Swamis. This oral tradition is very, very vital, important. That is the reason I worked on these 2 volumes, Prachin Sadhuder Katha, Stories of the Vedanta Monks. Volume 1 has come out, 2nd volume, translation is done, editing is done, they are now making the index. Hopefully within few months it may come out. A thought came to my mind about Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. This book is something unique in the religious history in the world. I shall only tell you a few episodes. This talk will not be long. One of our students, American, who was going to have her PhD, read the Gospel of Ramakrishna and told me, Swami, this book has one defect. I asked, what? This book has an end. This book has an end. That is the only defect of this book. I had another friend who was a professor of mathematics. He is British. He told me, Swami, I love Ramakrishna for 2 reasons. First, he never speaks anything which is irrational. Second, he is expert in solving problems. When people came with their problems, he used to tell them, sit down, listen to a story. And he told the story and solved the problems. As a math professor, I had to solve the problems. Sri Ramakrishna is expert in solving human problems. Sarvagatananda gave a copy of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna to a professor in Harvard University. He read the Gospel, and the moment he found woman and gold or Maya, he closed the book and did not proceed. When Sarvagatananda asked, how is your reading going on? He said, Swami, I stopped reading. Woman and gold Maya, that is the thing we live in. How can we be? How can we get rid of? I didn't want to read that book. Swami said, look, all teachings of Sri Ramakrishna are not for you. Take those teachings which suit you. A drugstore have many medicines. You cannot have them indiscriminately. Only the medicine which doctor prescribes, you take. Take the book back, read again. He read the whole book and said, Swami, this Gospel of Ramakrishna can solve the problem of our society. How? Our society is guided by dollar king and sex queen. And Sri Ramakrishna says, this kamini kanchan, lust and goals, woman and gold, we translate it, of course, Nikhilananda gave a long note about it. Swamiji preferred lust and gold or Maya instead of woman and gold. Each can solve our problems. Lust and gold. When we translated the Ramakrishna divine play, we put lust and gold. That Swamiji wanted, that should be the right translation. Gospel. It has been translated in many, many foreign languages. Another thought came about the gospel. Its influence in the Western world. Aldous Huxley wrote the foreword. Swami Nikhilananda did a marvelous job. His English is for the foreign, it is very wonderful translation. Both it is not perfect, but it is a wonderful translation. Gospel. He mentioned about this gospel, but I had so much family problem. I wanted to commit suicide. But Sri Ramakrishna's words saved my life. Then we find in the life of Purna Chandra Ghosh, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple. He met Thakur when he was 13 years old. He was a student of AMC school. Thakur asked him, what do you think about me? Sir, you are Vishnu, God. Sri Ramakrishna, how does he recognize me? Anyhow, Sri Ramakrishna says that he is one of the 6 Ishwar coaches. Sri Ramakrishna forbade him to get married, but his family forced him to get married. And he has few children. And then finally he got tuberculosis. It was in 1910. He died in 1911. Tuberculosis. He was dying. So he thought that I shall commit suicide. So what he did, he said, let me take bath, then I shall go to the shrine, I shall bow down to the master, and then I shall commit suicide. He did. He went, took bath, went to the shrine, bowed down to the master. Then he was thinking, let me open the gospel of Ramakrishna and taking one words of the master, I shall commit suicide. The moment he opened the book, he read, Purna Balak Bhakto Thakur Purner Mangal Chinta Kuritechen. M's record. Purna is a young devotee. Sri Ramakrishna is thinking about his welfare. What? Thakur is thinking of me, how can I commit suicide? His life was changed. Purna told another incident, that somebody came and said if master were alive, he would take care of you. What do you mean? Do you know what happened last night? I went to the bathroom. Mai had a nurse. I did not disturb him. While coming back, I was dizzy and about to fall. Master grabbed me and carried me to bed. The gospel. Swami Vidyadhananda said to him, the 87% monks come to the monastery reading your gospel of Ramakrishna. It is a householder who recruits monks. M was a householder. You will not find a single monk in the Ramakrishna Order who has not read the Gospel before he became a monk. All read the Gospel, then they became a monk. So once it used to happen, Swami Pramothananda, he was a secretary of Swami Madhavananda. Maharaj, this young man is reading the Gospel of Ramakrishna and he wants to be a monk. Then Madhavananda says, what? Reading the Gospel, one cannot become a monk. Ask him to read Swamiji, Swamiji's life and complete verse. Then he will get inspiration. Then he will be a monk. Reading the Gospel, one sees God. At that time, he does not need to be a monk. He sees God. He will not have to be a monk at that time. That's why Madhavanandaji said, Gospel, it has a tremendous power. Last night I was reading, I have a copy of a story, fictional story. I do not know whether fictional story or not. Some years ago, Ramakrishna Mission arranged all contemporary writers' opinion about Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature and their influence in the society. So all existing living writers of Bengal came and they spoke one after another. So this man was Jarasandha, that is his pen name, Charu Chandra Chakraborty. He was a jailer, and he wrote many books. One book, I think several volumes, Lauho Kapat, Iron Door, several volumes. In those volumes, he wrote about the prisoners in his jail, their life stories, what happened. In that connection, I wanted to tell this story. That is the reason I asked you to record these things. Every day when he comes to the jail, he goes for round and asks the prisoners, do you have any complaint? One lady came and said, I have a little boy at home, 2 years old. I liked my boy in my jail, but no, they're just too little. We cannot allow. That boy, that woman's tearful eyes left. Then from the men's wards he traveled, then he went to, then he found a girl. He must be in his 20s, young, good looking, but tremendous anger and vengeance in his eyes. Her name is Gyanoda. So when the jailer goes with him, the entourage goes. Bodyguard, this, that, because some criminals are there also. Police, bodyguard, then one matron, woman matron. In the women's ward, one matron goes. He went there. A young girl, what is your name? Why don't you see my cards? Why are you asking me? She was bitter. Generally, they should be very polite and this and that, but rudely answered. Then he got the news about her that she came recently from the court. 4 years imprisonment. Then the girl said, "You did not ask me my story, that why I am in jail." "Well, no, I don't like to hear your story," the jailer said. She went to her room. Then before leaving, she said, "Well, everybody wanted to know my story. I told my story to my villagers. I told my story to the police. I told my story to the judge. I told my story to the lawyers. I told my story to everybody. I memorized, got by heart my whole story. And you don't like to hear my story?" Well, no. All right. Then her story came from the court. He read the story, what happened. This teenage girl was married. Her father died. Her mother used to earn money through immoral way. You were going to say like a prostitute. That when the girl was married, he went to her husband's home and found he is already married another woman. So disappointed, she came back and just stayed with her mother. And the mother was poor. She was buying groceries from the village grocer. Gradually, she cannot afford. At the same time, she will have to survive. So she was taking loan and loan and loan from the grocer, the owner of the grocery shop. And the owner's son, grocery owner's son, young, has an eye on this girl. So her mother wanted that you go with him so that I not have to pay the grocery bills. Forced her. So she went with him for some days. Later on, that grocery sons wanted to enjoy her with her friends, which she objected. No. But her mother started to beat her. She cries, "Helpless, helpless girl." Then one day she planned. She said, "All right." She gave the message to the grocer's son, young son. "But I shall meet you in that cottage at night. You come alone, not with anybody." So that boy was very happy that I shall meet her. So both went in that cottage and both slept. She did not sleep. When he slept, he came out. He carried some kerosene oil and some clothes and some rags. Through the window, she put that kerosene oil and the rags and threw on that boy's bed. The fire came. And he could not come out because he closed the door from outside. And I think he died or something like that. So that was her crime. So he was in jail. She was in jail. But she was very bitter. She does not obey anybody. For something, she was solitary confinement in a small room, completely confined, iron door. Just in this country you call behind the bar. One day the jailer asked, "Do you know how to read books?" Why are you asking all these questions? No, I'm just asking that perhaps you are in a solitary confinement, you can want to reach some books so that you can spend some time. I don't like to read all the religious books, or full of advice, full of advice. I don't need that book. Why, that matron, he reads some trash, some bad novels, fictions, all the horrible books he reads. All right, if you find some story books or some upanas novel, send to me. So the jailer went to the library, and they have some limited books there. But one corner he found a copy of the Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, Gospel of Ramakrishna. So he brought that book and gave to that girl, Ganoda. Oh, all right. The opening the book, she found that it is some religious book, God and all those things. So he did not open it. He did not read it. She did not read it. When the jailer came next day, did you read that book? Oh, you gave the religious book full of advice. I did not touch it. I did not read it. No. Yeah, there are many stories are there. It's a very good book. Why don't you read? All right. But he read. The jailer came after 1 week and asked her, how is the book? So she was behind the bar. She asked the jailer, could you open the bar? So he ordered the guard, open the bar. She came, she put her cloth around the neck and bowed down to that jailer and touched his feet. With tearful eyes, she said, was the master so merciful, kind, simple, loving about Sri Ramakrishna? Yes. Again she went to the behind the bar. Now, according to the rule, you cannot keep the books from the library more than 2 weeks. So the librarian sent that she should send the book back. She did. Go, I shall not return the book. But report went to the jailer. Jailer said, all right, I shall look. The jailer asked, why don't you return the book? This book cannot be ended. I am reading this book, which is endless. It cannot be finished that way within 2 weeks. I must keep this book. Jailer was in trouble because according to the rule, within 2 weeks he will have to return the book. In the meantime, a report came, the jailer will be transferred to another jail. That facility he had to be transferred. From that facility he will be transferred. So that Ganoda heard about it. And she was very sad because this jailer was protecting her. Then he said, you are leaving, they will take away my book. This Kathamrita Gospel, this jail authority will take away my book because you are leaving. Then the jailer says, Gyanada, I shall give you 2 books. I shall give you 2 copies of the Gospel of Ramakrishna, 2 volumes. She was very happy. You return that book to the library. Then Gyanada asked, could you ask to open the bar? And then he had bodyguards. Could you ask the bodyguards to go a little away? I have something to tell you. That girl came near the jailer and whispered, could you give me a photograph of the master to me? Because it is against the rule, no photo should be there. The jailer told in a feeble voice, yes, I shall give you. Next day, the jailer cannot give the book. He created a name of one of our relatives, sending 2 volumes, and he put a picture inside the book and sent to the Gyanada. Then the Gyanada bowed down to him and said, you are so loving and compassionate toward me. She was crying for the jailer. This Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna was saving her life in this prison. Man cannot live by bread alone. The words of God, that Gyanada got, Kathamrita, Sri Ramakrishna's words. She got a picture of Thakur. Then this jailer has a problem. When he left, this girl was in his mind. Then he said, what is the matter? Am I committing any sin that I am thinking about this girl? Then he said, no. It is Sri Ramakrishna. He is moving inside her. That is my great achievement. Sri Ramakrishna's words reached in the prison and helping people. That story is so fascinating. I told you in a brief, it is in details are more elaborate. I just sum up the whole story. Sri Ramakrishna's words have some magic, power. One of our monks went to Madhava and asked Maharaj, he was asking a philosophical question. Philosophy? Go to the training center, ask those Pandits. I am a student of the Gospel of Ramakrishna. I read only Gospel, Thakur's words. I remember in our village, my elder brother used to read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, and all villagers would come to listen to it. I'm talking about the 1940s in our village. Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel. It's tremendous power. That is the reason I started to translate these 4 Gospels of Ramakrishna. 5 people recorded Gospel of Ramakrishna. M, which has been translated, Words of the Master, Brahmananda's collection, has been translated, but that translation is 100 years old. It is not a very good translation. Then Ram Datta, Suresh Datta, Girish Chandra Sen. So 5 people translated. So Ames has come up with these 4 Gospels I am trying to translate. So 3 I finished it last year. This year I started Suresh Chandra Datta.
Are you going to bring them out separately? Or?
No, in one volume.
Yeah.
4 Gospels of Ramakrishna, that would be the title.
Very good.
Because you know what is in my mind? Let Thakur teachings come to the West. Life, Ramakrishna and the divine play, and these teachings. That I was telling the other day one devotee, look, Ramakrishna is divine play, Ramakrishna, as we saw him, they lived with God, God lived with them. How to live with Ramakrishna, how to live with God in the company of Ramakrishna, see God with open eyes. This Sri Ramakrishna is divine life in pictures, and these 4 Gospels of Ramakrishna. These 8 books, Dharmadas, will bring so much materials, information to the Western world. And of course, Ames' book, Grisha's books are also there. And Holy Mother's biography. We want Thakur's teachings come to the West. Jai Ba.
Swami, we were talking about the Venice group, Krishnadas, Sita, Tatwanasi, and others, how in a way we were all gathered together for a couple of years before we found Swami. We've thought of it as a regathering, that perhaps we in past lives had known each other, and we're gathering and sort of getting ready to meet Swami. Do you have any thoughts on that? That phenomenon of groups coming?
Do you know what? I believe Nivedita told Holy Mother, Mother, don't think that we are born in the West accidentally. It is Sri Ramakrishna asked us to be born so that we could work for him in the West. That is the way I look at you and others. You are meant to work for Thakur in the West. Thakur had the vision that I have some devotees in the land. They're white people, their inside is white, outside is white. That Thakur had the mother said, Thakur said, you people are instruments to spread Thakur's message. Not only the monks do not just spread, the householders also are spreading Thakur's message. It is all predestined. You know, it is just the beginning. In one of my lectures I said, Christianity spread after 597 years. Saint, what is called at that time, who is the Pope, then she carried Saint Augustine carried the message in England, 597 BC. Buddhism has spread up to 250 years during the time of King Ashoka. And Swamiji says, Sri Ramakrishna's message, within 10 years his ideas encircled the globe. That's what Swamiji said. His ideas encircled the globe within 10 years. Thakur died in 1886. Thakur's ideas in 1893 at the Parliament of Religions. Harmony of religions, universal religions, all this, Jatamat, Tatamat, as many faiths, so many paths. You see, all religious leaders in the Parliament, they represented their own faith. And Swamiji represented all faiths and created harmony. Everybody is representing his own faith. That is the glory of Rama. You know, that is my belief that Thakur Swamiji is in this age, flawless. There is no hypocrisy, no purest form of spiritual tradition we carry. I may not be a great monk, but the ideal, the spiritual tradition I carry, superb, unique, no doubt about it. I went to Brazil. I met a woman. She translated the whole Gospel of Ramakrishna into Portuguese language. Her husband was quite rich, wife worker. She gave me 3 volumes. 3 years ago, one girl, her name is Monica, from Hungary. She translated the whole Gospel of Ramakrishna in Hungarian language. Went to Belur Math, and Belur Math asked her to correspond with me if she had any questions. So she sent many questions to me. So I used to answer. Now she comes to Zoom meeting. She came to India last time when I was in India, last year. She came and met me in Belur Math. Look how Thakur is working through these people. Hungarian language, in Portuguese language, Spanish, Dutch, all these languages, Ramakrishna's teachings are illustrated. Anyhow, that Gyanodada's story, I heard another story that this our Parthamo Vishwakarnanda. He told me that one girl died, and some of the young people came to that Swami who was restoring Swamiji's house in Calcutta. Well, she left her everything for Belur Math. We need 25,000 rupees for her cremation. Swami inquired, how come? We do not know anything. Well, the local political leader is a congressman. He is the executor of her will. So Swami got to know from that person. He said, yes, she left everything for Ramakrishna mission. Then Swami gave 25,000 rupees. Then he took police, went to her home. You see, she was a prostitute. And from her house, he found nearly 500,000 rupees and 1 million rupees worth of jewelry. And her house, her shrine, Sri Ramakrishna. Though her body was in the world, but her mind was in God, with Thakur. She left everything for Sri Ramakrishna. We hear all these stories and incidents, how Thakur loved. That is the reason he is called Avatar, savior of the soul. Fallen, downtrodden, this, that. Thakur is something. Nobody knows of Thakur. Swamiji says in this age he was born to destroy the greatest demon one can think of, that is doubt. Doubt. Sri Ramakrishna killed doubt from human minds. Not demons, doubt. Doubt demon. It is easy to kill a human being or a demon, but it is not easy to kill the doubt. When we read Kathamrita, Gospel, Lila Prasango, divine play, it is hard to disbelieve in God. That is the way I look at it. Thank you. Sthapakaya cha dharmaisya sarva dharma sarupine avatara varishthaya Ramakrishna te namah. Jananim saradam devim Ramakrishnam jagadgurum padapadmitaya shritva pranamami mur. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. bus.